Welcome to this week's version of Nickels and Dimes, our weekly video series. Well, what a difference a month makes, a month and a half makes. The stocks have recovered. People are feeling better, assuming you stayed in the market. Hopefully you did. Early April, people were getting very bearish, continuing to believe that the markets were going to get worse. And, voila. The markets have recovered most of their losses. So today we're going to talk about some more great news for stocks. This is a potential exciting data set I'm going to share with you today. And by the way, if you find value in this video, if you see this video on Facebook or LinkedIn, or if you get it in an email, go ahead and share it or forward. So let's jump in and explore more great news for stocks. Let's look at history. Now, who said this very famous quote? History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes, and you likely know it's Mark Twain. Now, what am I talking about? Why am I bringing this up? Because the month of May had one of its best Mays, that is specifically the S&P 500, had one of its best Mays since 1990 of the last 35 years. And if you were paying attention, you probably would have noticed the S&P rose more than 6%. That is the best performance since 1990. Now recall, not too long ago, again, about a month and a half ago, folks were very bearish, very negative. We thought the market, being down 16, 17, or even 20%, depending on the indices, was going to get worse. We're talking recession, interest rates are spiking, absolute pandemonium. If you talk to many people were very concerned. What changed? Well, the truth is people got more optimistic. Some of the tariff concerns, of course, were delayed. Well, the month of May, over the last 12 years, there was a study done where the month of May was observed over the last 12 years after rising 5%. The great news that on average, the S&P is up nearly 20% when we have such a good month. Now look at history. In 1990, the month of May was up 9.2%, and specifically the S&P 500. 12 months later, the market was up 7.9%. 1997, the month of May was up 5.9%. 12 months later, 28.6%. 1985, 2009, and you could see the results. So again, on average, when we have such a strong month, 5% or higher, which again, we just experienced, the good news is if history repeats itself, we will likely have more upside. Now, hopefully, you've had a strategy, you've had a game plan where, for example, you didn't get too concerned, you stayed the course, maybe you even looked at the last month or so when the markets came down, maybe you looked at as a buying opportunity and you put money to work. Because as you know, investing is a long game. And again, looking at data and giving us some clarity likely give us a clue, at least if history is any guide, of what might happen in the future. Of course, there are no guarantees, but I want to remind you, in our opinion, you must have a few things here in your portfolio. Number one, you must have absolute clarity on what your goals are. Number two, you have to have a plan, because if you have a plan, you're not going to get shaken out by bad headlines or concerning, for example, comments from the Fed or a politician. Number three, you have to have an investment strategy. That is clarity, again, on your risk tolerance, 1 to 10 scale. What are you comfortable with in terms of volatility and risk? Number two here in investment strategy, you have to have a growth and protection strategy. And number three, it's what's your family index number. And I talk about this often. Getting clarity on what is the rate of return that you need to earn now and in the future to live the ideal life you want. Again, if you have these three things, clarity on your goals, a plan, and again, in an investment strategy, we think you're going to be best suited longer term. So I wanted to share that information with you. And as I'd mentioned, if you find value in this video, go ahead and share it or forward it to a friend. And all I have to say is if you would like a second opinion on your portfolio or financial situation, go on our website at nickelswealth.com. Click on the upper right-hand tab, request an appointment, fill out the information, and one of our advisors will reach out to you and answer your questions and give you some clarity on your portfolio, give you a second opinion, and help provide some clarity, confidence, and peace of mind for you. Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.